today. Dr. John Waterhouse has been learning, teaching, and practicing science of mind principles for over 40 years. His life is about the revealing and celebrating the divine power and presence that dwells within each person he meets. He and his wife, Dr. Barbara Waterhouse, founded Center for Spiritual Living in Asheville, and he more recently served as senior minister of the Fort Lauderdale Center for Spiritual Living. He is an author of 3 books, which will have available to us today: 5 Steps to Freedom Without Apologizing and Spirit's Awakening, Reflections on Spiritual Journey is the 3rd book. He holds a PhD in organizational psychology from Union Institute and University, and honorary Doctor of Divinity and Religious Sciences degrees. He played a key role in the reunification of our 2 previous factions that were separated for over 50 years, and has twice been elected as president of Centers for Spiritual Living. Let us please welcome Dr. Reverend John Waterhouse.
Thank you, Tony. All right, here we go. Good morning, beloveds. I'm so happy to be with you here again. One reason I'm really excited about today is that my grandson has come over from Daytona Beach to be with us. His name is Aiden Fogelman. Aiden, would you please stand up? Aiden just received his degree he earned it, in aerospace engineering from Embry-Riddle University. And I can no longer say to him, it's not rocket science, because apparently it is. Thank you, Aiden. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, good deal. So, let's see, what do we want to do first? I think I want to do the books first real quick, just to let you know. I have a limited number of books that I brought. If you're a reader and you're interested in them, 5 Steps to Freedom is about spiritual mind treatment. If you've taken classes as a practitioner, or maybe even a first-year class, it's used in many of those classes as the text. So if you don't have it and you're interested, I've got a few of those. I have the 2nd book I wrote, which is called The Sorry Syndrome, because I believe that being sorry is a useless thing, and that what we do is not regret our lives. We live our lives, and when we make a misstep, we try to learn from it, and saying you're sorry doesn't do that. So that's my book on that, and I've got keen ways that you can live and be very responsible without saying that. And then my final book, which came out 2 weeks ago, is called Spirit's Awakening, and it's the story of my spiritual awakening, and I give everybody some tips on how that works, because I learned a lot about how Carl Jung believes that we are all in a process of awakening spiritually. And so if you're interested in any or all of those books, they're available afterwards. Enough of a commercial. Okay, we begin with an important story. A preacher one Sunday said to his community, "Next Sunday I will be speaking on the consequences of lying. And I want you to read the Gospel of Mark, chapter 17, before next Sunday." And they all nodded. And the next Sunday came, and he got up and he said, "So who read Mark 17? And all the hands went up. And then he said, "There's only 16 chapters in Mark." And I'll be speaking on the consequences of lying. Now we find that clever, but when I heard that joke, I said, wait a minute, I don't get to use guilt. Science of mind has no space for guilt. We're not supposed to do that. So I can't use that, even though it's a very clever story. I have to work toward inspiring you. Although today I don't know how inspiring I'll be. What I will be is informative. I have some important things to share with you. Now I chose this title for my talk, The Architecture of an Unconscious Life. I don't know, I think that's kind of boring. I could have done better. But the reason I ended up with this one was that my original title was 5 Brutal Revelations That Everyone Needs to Know. And I thought that might scare you off. So my intention today is to inform you, to give you some information that maybe you can use to make your life work a little better. There are 5 revelations that I will bring to you today. Talk about how these are innate within us and what we can do about it. So let's get going. I will begin with the first, and that would be on the next slide. Here we are. We think we're thinking, but mostly we're remembering and reacting. And the thing about that is that instead of thinking, we're remembering something from our past, not consciously, but we're being re-stimulated, and we react to what's happening in the moment based on what happened in the past. How often do you think we do this? Researchers figure about 95% of the time that we have a reaction to something, but what we're reacting to is not the stimulus that is before us, but the thing that happened 12, 18, 20, 30, 40 years ago that really upset us. And there it is again. And whoever is there present in that scenario in the present moment is gonna hear how wrong they are, how bad they are, how what they're doing is inappropriate, blah, 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 blah. Somehow we're going to make that person responsible for what we experienced all that time ago. How does that happen? What does that do? So you have an experience, you see something, you hear something, something happens, and immediately your mind sends that through thousands of filters that exist in your subjective mind until it hits one. Boom! As soon as it hits it, there's no difference between what happened long ago and what's happening right now. It's the same thing in your mind. And once you're there, and you're kind of stuck with it. And now you're going to have to deal with it all over again. You may not even remember that earlier event. That may not be part of what's in your thought process at all. But you think you're thinking and reacting accordingly to what is happening in the present moment, and you're not. That's not what we're doing. That's not how it works. Not yet. Not quite yet. I know you're excited about being back there and turning my slides, but I'm going to let you know when we get there, okay? So our minds imagine, and we are creative, and we are incredibly able to have mental images and use them. Right now I'm reading a book by Greg Braden called Pure Human, and he talks about that in this book, about how our bodies respond, whether it is something we're doing, something we're watching somebody else doing, or if we close our eyes and imagine doing it, our brain has the same impulses, the same responses regardless. So there is no imagination to our subjective mind doesn't exist. It's as though it's happening right now. So we can't tell the difference. So it looks like we're kind of stuck in this process and that we're going to be limited into what we can do with it. Slide, please. There it is. We are not just living in the present moment. We are living in an emotional museum surrounded by exhibits from the past, mistaking them for current landscape. We don't know the difference when it's happening unless in that brief moment between what we see and what we think, we can detach ourselves from that thought that's coming and not buy into it. Why go to all this trouble? Well, what's happening in the present moment is not what happened in the past. And if you hold it accountable to what happened in the past, what happens is you miss the present moment. You're not there. You're not dealing with what's happening right now. You're emotionally charged based on something from the past. And what we give up when we do that is the opportunity to learn from our current experience. There could be some wonderful thing that's happening in that moment, and we can't see it because we're stimulated by something that happened in the past. So I use as an example for you today, the speaker wore a white suit. When's the last time you saw a guy in a white suit? Now, I've worn white suits for a long time. I grew up in Miami. You know, wearing white suits is okay, but for people that live in other parts of the country, specifically New York, they look at me like I'm nuts. Or they say things like, one time at one of our gatherings, I wore a black shirt and a white tie, and I was accused of being a mafia boss. Another time, I was called, many times, the good humor man. You all remember that? The ice cream salesman in a white outfit? You know, there's lots of those. Colonel Sanders? And on it goes. Because everybody wants to put me in a white suit in a box. And that's their memory of what a white suit means. So they want to put me in the box and they want to tell me about it. I find that incredibly annoying. Because I look good in a white suit. And I am not Colonel Sanders. Never have been, never will be. So this is minor nothingness, this conversation about a suit, but I wanted to illustrate to you how it works. It works just like that. So what can we do with it? We can make that distinction and hold ourselves in the present moment to know that what's happening isn't what happened before. And we can take that information into our lives in a way that allows us to reevaluate. At the bottom of that screen it says, am I responding to what is actually happening or to what I've experienced in the past? And if you choose that and go, no, the stimulus is from the past. What's happening right now? If I can break those two things apart, there's something of value for me in the present moment. There's always something of value in the present moment. But we miss, as we learned here, 95% of what's happening in the present moment because we're stimulated by something that happened in the past. So here's your assignment on Revelation 1. Catch yourself. Catch yourself and look at what you're thinking. We can all do it. We're not really good at it in the beginning, but we can get good at it. We can get to where, okay, I feel it. I know this isn't happening right now. I'm going to let that go and I'm going to see where I am right now. And the best way I know to deal with that in the moment is to ask a question, either of ourselves, like you saw here, or ask the person that's there. You know, why is this important to you? What's that about? Ask something that brings you into the present moment so that you can be with them instead of being with something that happened long ago that is irrelevant, other than it popped up in your subjective mind. That makes sense? Okay, so that's your first task. Yeah, I'm sending you home with homework. So the second of these revelations is our excuses are our fears in disguise. Our excuses are our fears in disguise. Fear is an interesting thing. None of us fess up to being afraid very often. I mean, there is that phrase, well, you know, I'm afraid this could happen. Sometimes we'll say that, but for the most part, we make an excuse as to why we're not going to do something, why we're moving away from some situation. Whatever's going on, we make an excuse, but the truth is that we have a fear. Now, here's an interesting thing about fear. The same way our memories are all in the past, our dealing with future is all in the future. With fear. Fear is all about the future. And you go, well, that's not completely true. We could be afraid of something from the past. No, you can't. You can be afraid that someone in the future is going to find out what you did in the past and tell everybody. That you could do, but that's still in the future. There's no fear in the past. Here's another example I love to use. Women don't like this. Imagine that I had a box up here, and in the box was a rattlesnake, and I dumped it out on the floor right there. Tony, would you have some fear over that? What would you be afraid of? You would be afraid of being bitten. So suppose that rattler ran over to you and bit you. You still afraid of being bitten? No, but what are you afraid of now? You've been bitten by the snake. You're not afraid of anything.
No, if I've been bitten, I'm afraid he's going to bite me.
No, he'd already bit you. He already bit you. Now what are you afraid of? Well, that or die. But see, all those things are in the future. None of it's happening in the past. We're only afraid of the future. So when we make these excuses, we're just trying to distance ourselves from the outcome that we're afraid of. And it really doesn't work very well. Here are some examples of things that we say. Well, it's not the right time. I need to think more about it. That probably won't work. Those kinds of ideas are the things that we kind of get stuck with. So the question becomes, what do we do about this? Our ego It's trying to protect us. That's why we're making excuses. Our ego can't tell the difference between a moment of being humiliated or embarrassed and a moment of being attacked. It's the same thing to the ego. The ego wants to protect us. And it does that in this way by giving us excuses on why we shouldn't do something. But what we want is freedom. We want freedom from being rejected. We want freedom from being blamed. We want freedom from a lot of things that come to us in life or have come to us in the past, and we don't want to experience those things again, so we avoid it. I had a circumstance where I was playing tennis at my home in Houston in the early 1980s with a neighbor. And he was a pretty good player. I was a terrible player. So he invited me to go just hit some balls around. I was so intimidated by him and so afraid that I finally had to walk away because I wouldn't stop saying I was sorry every time I hit the ball. It got to where I would say I was sorry before I hit the ball. And that's when I knew I had to go home. I had to excuse myself and go away. A couple of years later, I'm living in Australia. I have a new spiritual teacher. He's teaching me. And every Saturday, we would go do some kind of a recreational event, the team there at the center. And one week they said, hey, let's go play tennis. Nah, I'm out. I'm not going to go. And my spiritual teacher heard me say that. And he walked over, he said, you know how you win a tennis match? Okay, here we go. No, sir, tell me. He said, well, you have to own the court. You own the entire court. Everything about it is yours. You own the lines. You own the clay. This was Australia, so clay courts. You own the net. You own the posts that hold the net. You own your racket. You own your opponent's racket. You own your opponent's clothes. You own the sky above your tennis, what's it called? Tennis court. Thank you, the word court. You own the ground below the court. You own it all. It's all yours. And you invite the person on the other side of the net onto the court at your discretion. He said, do you think that might change it a little bit? I said, okay, let's go play tennis. So we did. We went out. And probably the best player in the group decided to volley with me. And I asked him to give me a moment. And I did what I was taught to do. I went to the corners of the court and I owned it. It was mine. And I knew he was good, but I didn't care. I owned that court. He volleyed the ball to me. I hit it, returned it. He hit it back. I hit it back. He hit it back. I hit it back. Eventually, he would miss. I played in 3 sports in high school. I never did any sport as well as I did that day. And it wasn't out of a skill set. It was out of a mindset that I could do it, that I could achieve the thing that I thought I couldn't. And we did this for, 20, 30 minutes. It was stunning to me. We drew a crowd, and they would cheer when he would miss. Honest to God, he was good at returning the ball. So when he did, I was able to get to it. He wasn't trying to beat me and hit the edges of the court and such. So I had an advantage in that regard, but still, I did it. And I left that court with a whole new understanding of how my life works. It was truly, in fact, that story is in 2 of those books back there. It was that important to me. It's important to understand that we can do things we don't think we can do. And being afraid of them will not get us to the place that we want to go. So how do we deal with rejection? Can we ask ourselves, not yet, I will tell you when to turn the slide, thank you so much. What works for me, even if others misunderstand me, am I willing to do it? What would I do if approval was irrelevant? What part of me is trying to stay emotionally safe? These are good questions to ask yourself. You might find, in the midst of all of that, that it works out better if you just confront it and let it be okay. Let's go to number 3. Our personalities are habit, not destiny. Now, I have seen infants born with personality, at least with attitude. You know how some babies cry and some babies don't? How some babies sleep and some babies don't? They're different. We're people, absolutely. So I don't think we come in as a blank slate. But this one intrigues me, the idea that personality is built on habits. When you choose to deal with life in a certain way, and you repeat and replicate that over and over again, thousands of times, you think it's ingrained and it's just the way you are. Now, it may be something that you don't particularly like about yourself. But you go, hey, I can't do anything about it. It's just my personality. It's just who I am. Well, apparently that's not true. That we really have the ability to condition ourselves to change our habits and to do things differently. If we don't, and we're stuck like that, what's the point of thinking that we can evolve spiritually? We can. We can evolve spiritually. And we can make things work for us. But we say things like, I'm shy, I'm not confident, I'm anxious, I'm spiritual, I'm difficult, I'm independent. Some of those may work, some not. But if something in your personality doesn't work, I want you to know you can change it. I'm not saying you're going to change it like that, but if you set the intention not to have that, and you know what it is, and if you don't ask your friends, they know what it is. They know what part of your personality is the most challenging. They know. Ask them. And when they tell you, don't be embarrassed, don't be confused, don't be angry, don't blame them. Simply look at it and say, am I okay with this? Or would I do it differently? And if you do it differently and consciously choose to, you can. Again, it requires creating a new habit. But we are perfectly capable of creating habits in our lives. So if you're going to do something habitually, make sure you're doing it in a way that supports you. And stop saying, this is the way I am. Because you're more than that. You really are more than that. You might say, once I feel confident, I'll speak up. Once I feel worthy, I'll accept love. Once I feel motivated, I'll start. Or once I feel peaceful, I'll change my habits. That's backwards. That's not how it works. That's what we say, but it's not how it works. This is how it works. When I speak up, I'll feel confident. When I accept love, I'll feel worthy. When I begin, I'll feel motivated. And when I change my habits, I'll feel peaceful. We need to take the initiative to make our lives better. Our lives will not change if we don't take the initiative. Habits are ingrained, but they're not invincible. We can make this work in our lives. And I had to make it, in my young life, I had to make it work. I seemed to be a bully magnet when I was a little guy, when I was, 10, 12 years old. So much so that my younger brother, 4 years younger than me. Now, and when you're 12, 4 years is a lot. It's not now, but it was then. He had to actually step in and break up what was a potential fight with me and another guy. I wasn't interested in fighting. I didn't want to fight. I remember the first fight I had in elementary school. I cried my way through the whole thing because I actually liked the guy I was fighting and didn't understand what was going on. And I just had this horrible thing in me that attracted bullies. I was a victim. I was afraid to fight. And then one wonderful day, a bully at my junior high school down in Miami-Dade, who had done several things to me. Once he borrowed a pen from me and took the pen and crushed it and threw it back at me. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I was dealing with in the 7th and 8th grades. Anyway, this particular guy, I was in my locker once, late to get to class, trying to get what I needed for the next class, and he came up behind me and pushed me into my locker. Something snapped. And I turned around and let him have it. And the way our junior high was set up, we had 2 main wings, and on the back side of the wings was all glass. So all the kids, and I was in the second wing standing in the front of the class. The people that were in the back of in the first row of classes that all had glass, as soon as I pushed this kid and he went tumbling, they all started cheering. Of course, we both had to go to the principal's office. We had to do detention, and he looked at me and said, "I'm going to get you." So I did my best to get out of school that day, as quickly as I could to get to my bike so I could get out of school. It didn't work. He and his buddies all showed up at the bike rack. And so I stood up to him, and he punched me in the arm. Not even very hard. And he said to his friends, "Let's go." And I never had to fight anybody again because I wasn't afraid anymore. I wasn't going to let that happen to me. Now, that's one example of a child. You have examples in your life where things have not gone well. First indication is to always put the blame on the other person. I suggest you go without blame. Blame's not going to get you where you want to go. What will get you there is for you to claim your right to live a wonderful life and to not be in a position where you have to deal with things that are unpleasant. And you can. You absolutely can. I know you can. No matter what it is, the answer dwells within you. You're the presence of the divine. And who you are allows you to live a meaningful, purposeful, loving life. But you have to choose it every single time. Let's go to number 4. What we won't face already runs our lives. What we refuse to own about ourselves already owns us. How does that work? There are things inside of us, every one of us, that we're not admitting to the world. And what happens when that stuff happens is that it doesn't support who we are. We get to be whoever we want to be. And hiding parts of us makes us susceptible to that. Sort of like it was with me and the bullies. You hold it inside, you don't want the world to see it because you're either embarrassed by it or you think it's not going to work. And it is going to work. It is going to work if you'll just let it be okay the way you are. I think we're getting better as a culture with that. When I was a child, it was totally impossible to be okay with being gay or lesbian. It just wasn't okay. People's lives were on the line many times. We've grown past that to a large degree. Not completely. Thank you for honoring those folks that lost their lives in that horrible night at that club in Orlando. It broke my heart when I heard about that. So it's not that we've healed this completely, we're way further down the line than we were. But we all have those little secrets that we keep from, we try to keep them from ourselves. We don't want to think about it. So I'm going to demonstrate for you today how to do that. Ooh, the room is silent. You're ready for this, are you? For I don't know how many years, something less than 20 years, but for a long time, I have had a color on my toes. It's metallic gold. My toenails are called gold chrome. They're shiny. And I like them. It wasn't my idea. It was my wife's idea. And it comes with a long story that I don't have time to tell you today, but she's the one that encouraged me to do it, and I did it. And I like it. I think it looks opulent. My problem is I wasn't willing to be judged by other people. So I keep my shoes on when I'm around people I don't know, or have for most of my life. But I don't do that anymore. I wear largely sandals down in Miami. And what I have discovered by letting go of my resistance and fear that I would be laughed at or ridiculed is that there are 3 ways that people respond very clearly, and they fall into categories. Young women go, "Your nails are cool." I actually came out of a movie theater at Aventura a few months ago, and there was a beautiful woman walking by herself, and she walked past me, and I'm trying to figure out where I want to go in the mall after the movie. And she does a U-turn and comes back to me, and she says, "Excuse me, I love your nails. Thank you very much. It was nice. Now, older women, and I'm not blaming any of you, but tend to not see it the same way. Think that somehow it's strictly a feminine thing and a man should never do that, is what I've been told. Men, gay or straight, will not mention it. They will not say it out loud. Now, I have seen their eyes get as big as saucers looking at my feet, but not a word out of their mouths. Nothing to say. And I find that amusing. So I don't have a problem with the fact that I have color on my toenails anymore. In fact, I enjoy it all the more. See, you can work through anything. You can work through anything in your life and be okay. There's something wonderful about bringing things out into the light. It kind of heals them. It kind of lets them be okay. So I invite you to not fall into that trap of thinking that there are things that you can't say because they will obsess you and eat you up over time. So don't do that. And the final one, Judgment Day. Oh, I forgot about Jung. Thank you. I'll do this. This is good. Jung wrote about the shadows of our psychology. He said, the shadow is the parts of ourselves we reject, suppress, and refuse to acknowledge. They do not vanish when denied. They operate indirectly through our reactions, projections, and distorted perceptions. They do. And the way to get rid of that is to just say them out loud to whoever's present and see what happens. You might be surprised how little people care. It's quite nice. Okay, Judgment Day is every day. In traditional religion, there's this whole concept of when you give up your body, you go to a place called heaven, and that at some point there's a judgment of everybody, that you face the wrath of the divine based on the things that you did wrong. I don't believe that. In fact, I don't know of anyone in metaphysics that believes that. Yet judgment is a real thing. And the word that the Hindus use is karma. Although I want to be very clear that karma is not about bad things. Most Americans think that karma means you did something wrong and you're being punished for it. Karma is simply experiencing the opposite of what you expressed. So whatever you're putting in the world, it's sort of like the law of cause and effect or the law of reflection. It comes back to you. So when you have issues in your life that make that make you angry or confused or upset or afraid, that stuff comes back into your life. Same way the bullies came back and kept coming into my life. We are the creators of our experience, beginning to end. And if we ever think that we're a victim, if we ever think that we can't live a full, rich life, the only one we're deceiving is ourselves. So I invite myself and all of us to move beyond that, to be open books, to express ourselves fully and joyously through all of life, to not worry about judgment. Know that whatever we're putting out is going to come back to us. It's going to be reflected back to us. And that when that happens, we'll learn more about who we are. One of the first things you'll learn when you come to a center like this is that if you don't like what you're seeing out in the world, recognize that it's a reflection of what's going on inside of you. I can demonstrate. I have an example. You ready? Donald Trump. See, somebody fell down. Now, some of you may be Trump supporters, and some of you may think he's the worst thing that's ever happened in the world. I found that there aren't a lot of middle people on that. There's not a lot of middle ground. That you either take an extreme on one end or the other. Okay, but when you do that, you're missing the possibility that maybe something is working. Now, maybe not everything is working the way you'd like, but maybe something is working. But when you take a stand against something in an absolute sense, you can't see any value in it. And there is value in everything. The same divine presence that dwells in you dwells in the President of the United States, no matter who the president is. So give yourself a break and don't get caught up in all that. And live your life out in the open, loving and seeing the value of everyone. You don't have to agree with everything that goes on. I love the fact that we don't have to agree. In fact, my wife and I had an agreement early in our marriage that said we would never make the other person wrong. How can you do that? Well, they're not wrong. They just have a different opinion. And we recognized that we at times had different opinions. We had a lot of opinions the same, but we had differences from time to time. But it was never an argument because we were allowed to have different opinions. There was nothing to fight about. So I invite you to look at that and see how you can live your life in a place that is in the present, knowing what's going on right now, and find value in it. You know, like they say, there's a pony in there somewhere. Well, God's in there somewhere too. Find it. Enjoy it. Learn from it. Let your life be a reflection of all the good that you are, instead of a reflection of all the things that you can make wrong about the world. So I want to close with a quick little reading, and we can go, there it is. You guys are like on it back there now. This is called Instructions Before Visiting Earth. I know you're already here, but my guess is you're going to be here a bunch more times, so maybe you can use it next time. In the event that you wake up and feel as though you are separated from Source and manifest into material form, don't panic. Your condition is only temporary. You have been selected for the opportunity of human incarnation. This 3D simulation is designed to break up the monotony of eternity by giving you a fully immersive experience as a distinct ego identity. Your body will serve as your physical avatar as you navigate a dense and dramatic reality. There will be many distractions causing you to forget your true nature. You will experience a range of emotions from joy and loneliness to despair, but remember, no matter what trials and traumas you encounter, your soul remains perfectly safe. At times you may feel lost or afraid. This is totally normal. If you ever need guidance, simply slow down your busy mind and bring your awareness to that quiet place inside yourself. On this planet, nothing is permanent. People and things will come and go. You will fall in love and form sentimental attachments only to lose everything you hold dear. So cling to nothing too tightly, even yourself. When it's time to let go with grace, for nothing is owned, only borrowed. As you walk among the people on the planet, try to be a good guest. Tread lightly. Remember that you are only visiting. Don't make a mess. Listen more than you speak. Give more than you take. And don't keep your soft heart inside a glass case, protected from wear and tear. You'll never make it out alive. Time passes quickly, so come back with some battle scars and some good stories to tell. I wish you well. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Thank you for spending this time with us on Spiritual Wisdom Weekly from the Greater Orlando Center for Spiritual Living. If this episode supported you in any way, we invite you to stay connected. Listen again, share it with someone you care about, or simply carry what resonated with you into your week. Until next time, take good care and keep growing in spirit.